Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We are now joined in studio by Gemma MacCarrick and Tim Brennan. We are talking Toms River Family Health and Support Coalition. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Oh, no, thanks for coming in, really.
Thank you.
I had actually heard that you guys were picking up some donuts this morning anyway, so we figured, why don't you just come on in and we'll talk for a few minutes, right? Seemed like the right thing to do.
Well, thanks.
Why don't you give me kind of an overview of what the Toms River Family Health and Support Coalition is for those that don't know?
Well, this is a project of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. That's the largest philanthropy dedicated to health in the country.
Okay.
And so we were very excited about that. Now, the idea here is to develop a culture of health. My favorite definition of culture is the one of American humorist Will Rogers. Way we do things around here. And so that's what we want to do. We, move back from the damage control, the illness control, move back to the habits and attitudes and beliefs that would promote health in our community. That's what this is really all about, and it's called a coalition because health is a shared value. Everybody's got to get in it together.
That's excellent. Now, what accent was that you were going for there exactly? I'm just trying to understand the Will Rogers accent. What was?
You know what? Well, that's the way Will Rogers talked.
Yeah?
He would read the New York Times out loud on the radio. He said, "Now, I'll tell you, I don't understand this, but."
Do you do any other impressions, or is it only Will Rogers that you know?
I try, but nobody seems to catch on to.
All right. So you guys are the so you are kind of the coaches for this project, right?
We are the coaches.
So you coach the this coalition, and this is one of how many coalitions that are right now running throughout New Jersey?
20.
All right. So there's 20 coalitions running. You are one set of coaches that are coaching Toms River. How did Toms River get involved in this? This was a grant process of some kind?
Yes, it is. The grant, Tara Cunningham, who's the strategic director of the Grunin Foundation, became aware of this opportunity, and then she connected with many people who drafted the grant to be then presented to the New Jersey Health Initiative. And Tara Cunningham, as I mentioned, is the strategic director, and Peter Rosario is the president and CEO of the Y, and they're the fiscal agent for this particular process. And there's 6 of us who get together as a coalition leadership. May I mention now who those folks are? All right. We have, besides Tara and Peter, we have Lynette Whiteman, who's the executive director of the Caregivers Volunteers of Central Jersey. We have Daniel Regni, and he's the public health coordinator and health officer, and Lee Karen, who is affiliated with Hope Sheds Light. And we meet together separately here in Toms River at times to gather our thoughts, set our goals. Mission statement is in the process, but then we're being trained by the Center of Creativity and Leadership, which is which is in North Carolina. And so it's a process right now, and I think Tim will pick up in a minute to explain that our next step is going to be on November 3rd, where we join everybody in Toms River together who wants to be a part of this process.
Right. And just to clarify, Dan is with the Ocean County Health Department.
That is correct.
Right. So Dan is what's the county? So there is county buy-in, nonprofit buy-in. So obviously, there's funders. So and although it's a small group to start, the coalition grows as this core group kind of brings knowledge back to the greater area. Correct?
That's absolutely right. We are gathering, as I mentioned, a lot of our thoughts right now as to form this health coalition. And we're being trained by the Center of Creative Leadership on how to approach and get positive results so that everyone feels, and all the citizens of Toms River will feel an equal buy-in. And I believe at this time there's 49 different agencies and businesses being invited to the actual coalition meeting.
Cool. And we identified there were four kind of I want to say the four biggest health issues that we identified as part of the coalition's focus, right?
Yes, there's and they're national and they're worldwide. One of the big ones is obesity in young people.
Right.
And this is changes performance, self-image, and so we need to get busy on that. Another is loneliness, the loneliness of old age, and people feeling not connected. The big elephant in the living room, of course, is the opioid problem. Kids can get a packet of heroin that will ruin their lives in no time flat, cheaper than a pack of cigarettes.
Yep. And then, of course, we also are dealing with hunger, right?
Food
Yes.
insecurity.
So it's ironic. So you have hunger and obesity both on the same list,
Yes.
right? But if you think about it, it actually does make total sense
Yes, it
because
does.
Hunger is clearly food insecurity is clearly a symptom of financial insecurity,
Right.
Yes.
right? And obesity, as we all know, typically. When you don't have a lot of money, you do end up eating a lot of McDonald's, a lot of Burger King, a lot of food. It's unfortunate that healthy food is typically more expensive than junk food, right? Go ahead.
Governor Corzine appointed me executive county superintendent of Hudson County. So I went up there. I had been a superintendent for 28 years. I accomplished next to nothing.
Right.
Because those problems.
Congratulations,
that those kids
by the
have,
way.
Thank you very much. It was a great feeling. And their problems are not academic. They're lacking basic services. So my office was in Secaucus. Jeremy, I could walk 1 mile in any direction from my office and never come across a food store that sold vegetables.
Sure.
What I found was these small little convenience stores. And in those stores, they would take things that had been sold in packages in a ShopRite, break them in like those little yogurt things
Yeah.
you buy 4. They were all broken into one and priced individually.
Yeah.
So it's a big effort. So you're right about that connection.
Right. So okay. So we have hunger, we have obesity, and that's kind of where the YMCA comes in to a large extent, and of course the county health department. We have senior isolation,
Yes.
right, which is where Caregiver Volunteers of Central Jersey really kind of focuses. And we have our opiate problem, which clearly Hope Sheds Light has been on the forefront of in fighting that battle here in Ocean County. So when we come back with Gemma MacCarrick and Tim Brennan, I want to kind of get your background and kind of how you got involved with this. We heard already how ineffective you were as a superintendent, Tim, so thank you for sharing that with us. When we come back, we want to talk more about what your history was and how you got involved with this project. And we'll go from there. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, Gemma MacCarrick, Tim Brennan, Tom Sewer Family Health and Support Coalition. Stay tuned. After the break, we'll talk more.
Coming up next, the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center, overlooking the Toms River. It's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, 6:34, Monday, October 10th. That's a 10. I can't read my own writing.
You blew it.
47 degrees, getting up to 62 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pop app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are joined in studio by Gemma MacCarrick and Tim Brennan talking Tom Sewer Family Health and Support Coalition. So, tell me how you guys kind of ended up as like coaches, right? So what's your background? What qualifies you to be a coach?
I think a few things qualify us. Mostly we knew Tara Cunningham.
Oh, that's good.
So
It's good to
that's
have friends in low places. There you go.
That's the beginning. We do know Tara through our son. And But I think the interest came in the fact that our family had moved to Toms River in 1971. And I personally have just had the opportunity to be involved with the community and see it grow from one way of living to almost another way of living. And we certainly have populated the area. There's so many positives to living in Toms River. It's a place I was so grateful to raise children. We were thrilled with the education they received. Tim and I have a delightful pontoon boat that we keep at Cozy Cove Marina on the Toms River, and it gives us the chance to truly enjoy our town and all that it offers. Beautiful areas of Island Heights, the river's so beautiful at night, seeing what those kinds of activities of sailing and swimming and fishing can bring to the lives of children. And so many people realize that, and they created this environment for us. But also as the result of other situations, sometimes we actually have the working poor, and they work hard, they try to keep their families together, and the cost of life just gets to be a bit much, and then they go through different times where they need support and help from their fellow citizens. And we also live in an area. We have a 94-year-old aunt, and we have two other relatives that are 92. And at times, as much as family is around, there is some senior isolation that we see where they live. And their neighbors really remark how well our family can work together, but not all seniors have that opportunity of having family close by. So we see that as a need. We need to help each other every day in some way. And I believe through the coalition that will happen. I think another reason we were asked to participate is that being with the Toms River Regional Schools for 30 years, I taught, I was a supervisor, I was a principal the last 7 years of my professional life. And I was able to listen to the stories of all of our families. And when you see someone who's lost the glint in their eye and the sense of hope, you just know you have to be there to help. And our children, we need to be role models for them and teach them how to care for each other as we care for them. And then they will make our Toms River area a stronger sense of citizenship. And I think it was part of those goals that allowed us to be a part of this coalition as coaches.
Cool. And so you both have backgrounds heavily in education.
Correct.
Right? And
Yes.
so this is, as we know, it gives you kind of that added layer of patience and that added layer of being able to kind of bring people together, right?
Understanding. In fact, Gemma and I met each other maybe 7 or 8 years ago now at a typical singles hangout called the American Dairy Council.
Really?
And we were there because the National Football League had started a program called Play 60. Our Jersey City kids they were in something called the Catholic Gymatorium, 7-foot high ceiling, big brick columns. No way you could play basketball. We were trying to get the NFL. The American Dairy Council came up with Fuel Up to Play 60.
Right.
And so a lot of progress has been made there. So if you were to call the Jersey City Public Schools over the summer, you would find that any child in Jersey City could walk into any Jersey City Public School and get breakfast or lunch, even if it's not their school. You got to have that kind of foundation before you can start to say to somebody, this is a gerund, this is a participle.
Right. What's a gerund? That's great. That's great. But I right away, the first thing I thought of is that so 7 years ago you met and you were able to milk that original meeting into a beautiful relationship now.
Actually,
right?
I was talking to the director of food services for Toms River because they were a pioneer in this breakfast in the classroom. And this woman walked up behind me and said, "You're sitting in my chair." That would be Mrs. Brennan.
I like that, pioneer in food service. See what you did there? That's good. Yeah. There's more Henny Youngman jokes here than we could ever thought. Now you mentioned kind of getting feedback, right, and eliciting feedback. So there's part of this whole coalition deal is also involves a listening tour, right?
Yes, it does. As the core leadership group, as we were meeting, we were being sensitive to what we believe and think that our areas of focus should be. But the longer we talked about that together, we realized that was the 6 of us and sometimes the 7 of us. But what it is we've developed an idea, and that is to have 14 listening tours, which will mean that there'll be 14 day meetings or night meetings where we'll advertise that people can come and just talk to us, and we will do nothing but listen. And we will be presenting the goals of the coalition. But sometimes, unless you do listen, you just can't assume what somebody else is living. And when you live in different parts of town, that might be different. And where you started life at the age of 25 might be a lot different than where you are at 50, and your goals change and needs change. So by having these listening tours, what we will do then is take all that information that people are sharing with us on how we can make Toms River a healthier place to live, and then we will put their words into our action, and we will work together. And we will use the resources that we have, and we will seek out other resources.
Awesome. Well, that certainly is a key to building any kind of sustainable plan, right? Is making sure you get as many voices, as much information as you possibly can to make it work.
Our next step is an inventory. Now, after all those listening meetings, we'll find out how much talent, effort, and work has gone into many things that are already available.
Right.
And try to bring them together and make them even stronger.
Perfect, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel either, right? Cool. Right. We're up against a break, so when we come back, I want to give you each a magic wand. Right, where you listen, it's my gift to you. I know you didn't bring me anything. I mean, you didn't one of those donuts, but whatever. But when we come back, we're going to give you a magic wand and see what you would do. And I'm interested to see, because you've had so much exposure now to all the things that we need to kind of work on and I want to say fix, because some of these things need to be fixed and are fixable. Gemma, MacCarrick, Tim Brennan, Toms River Family Health and Support Coalition. Back after this.
Everything you need to know about the Jersey Shore. This is Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Now, back to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. It is 6:47. Gemma, MacCarrick, and Tim Brennan, Toms River Family Health and Support Coalition. So, it's that time where we give you the magic wand, the pixie dust, the fairy dust, the ability just to wiggle your nose and make something happen in the world. Very excited to hear what you guys have to say. And so, Tim, I'm going to start with you because I know Gemma has done some preparation work on this. So I feel like I want to give you the opportunity to go first. So
okay, thanks so much.
So you don't have to follow her. You know what I mean?
This is my 52nd year as an educator.
Okay.
About half the kids who are alive today are going to live to be 100. Why do we send them out after high school into either a menial job or another educational experience? I would insert right there a nationwide movement to promote service among young people. There are so many things that people could do to help out, and that might last a year or two. At the end of that time, they would have learned something maybe like the old guild system in Europe. They would have learned something about themselves. But the most important thing is that they would learn, I think, is that they have something to contribute and they can take part.
So when you say service, you mean like nonprofit service? You mean like giving back, learning how to do their civic duty?
Right. Yes.
Fantastic. I love it. That's a good one. I always like when we hear one that we haven't heard, like in these 400 shows we've done or 400 interviews we've done. All right. You know what? He actually put the pressure on you, Gemma. I'm just saying.
Well.
I mean, that was strong. That was strong. So what do you got?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts. One is because the result of having 7 grandchildren and the way my 3 children did have the opportunity to grow up. One of our sons is a trauma physician, Jersey Shore, and the children that he cares for in pediatric trauma, a lot of young people end up at the hospital as a result of sometimes sadness and drug overdose and depression. And we all have just one chance at this life, and we should do it together. And in a little bit of preparation and coming to your show this morning, there's something I've used when I've given a talk, and with your permission, I'd like to read it. But I think it's at the core of who I am, and I think it will be partially at the core of our coalition. This was written by the 14th Dalai Lama, and it says, "We are visitors on this planet. We are here for 90 or 100 years at the very most. During that period, we must try to do something good, something useful with our lives. And if we contribute to other people's lives and well-being and their happiness, you will find the true goal of and meaning of life." And I think when I'm 67 and you reach different reflective times in your life, and having the good fortune of happily raising our 3 children and seeing them go into the world and do good, that's what I would like for our grandchildren to do also. And if I'm not willing to be that role model, then I've made a mistake. And the coalition will give me that chance to do that. When I was a principal, the Toms River Schools gave me that opportunity to meet with families, help in any way I could, listen. There were times when our children left school on Friday and they did not have food until Monday. And we would find resources to help when we knew that. But we also have to have people come forward and tell us sometimes what we just don't know. And I believe that's where the listening tour is absolutely the best thing and approach that we could possibly have.
Right.
But people will have to come forward and tell us how to help.
Sure.
And they'll have a skill that they can help with. And we'll just be reciprocal in that situation.
Absolutely.
It's a spirit.
Absolutely. Gemma MacCarrick, Tim Brennan, Toms River Family Health and Support Coalition. So we would tell folks that are listening now to be on the lookout, because information will be coming about the 14 listening tour stops along the way for this coalition. And again, this is built with nonprofits, for-profits, businesses, the county's support, and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation as we look to create a healthier environment for all of Toms River's residents. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Oh, we thank you.
And now you can go grab those donuts you came on in for. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We'll be back right after this.